Light the beam, because it's time for Nerdy for 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish movies, 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer, a.k.a. the Critics' Choice. With me, as always, the People's Champ, Tim Keck.
If you feel it, chase it, baby.
If you feel it, chase it. And today, we are closing out our 4-year-long Lethal Weapon and Ryan Gosling double feature series with Lethal Weapon 4. To do so, to help us bring it to the end, the family's all here. Is that the thing? The gang's all here? What's the tagline for this one? I think
Are
the
you guys
gang's all here.
friends? No, we're
There we go.
family.
Well, it's my
Oh,
froggy,
yeah.
Mike Breen.
Jesus.
Oh, my froggy.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me again. Really excited for this to be over. Not the podcast. This series of movies.
What? You're just
Wait,
saying
are
these
you
things to
not-
hurt me.
I'm not saying that to hurt you at all. I'm saying it because I was losing my mind watching this.
What?
I told
Yeah,
myself I
really?
wasn't going to talk this way. I told myself I
No.
wasn't going to be myself. And here I am, doing what I always do, be a little bitch. Whatever.
Go off, Queen. Tell us what it is.
No,
It's just like the characters in these movies. You know, 4 movies in, they're still doing exactly what they do.
Yeah, it was kind of like inoffensive, but it just felt like a kind of like really boring version of itself. It was the first of the series where I felt like their relationship had nowhere to go. Or Riggs and Murdoch didn't grow. Like I really didn't feel them have their drama anymore. It was kind of like, which can be cute to have them be like just together in this one, but that's kind of not why we see those movies. Yeah, I think that's kind of a problem. I know you guys like it more, and I want to shut the fuck up so you guys can change my mind.
Well, that is interesting you say that, Breen, because my note for this one from the very beginning was some franchises, by the time they get to the 4th movie, they have completely jumped the shark. This franchise caught the shark. Instead of jumping it, they brought it sweetly, gently into their boat, and they're just hanging out with the shark now. And I had a great time. I had a great time hanging out with the shark.
I think that's a great description of this. It's like, if you're into these guys, I think this is a fun movie. This might be I think this is my second favorite one. It feels like just a ton of fan service. It's just extra hanging out with these guys. There's an explosion or a fire every 10 minutes. And it opens with them fighting the DC villain Firefly. There is just a pyro guy burning things and shooting machine guns in LA. Roger gets naked to distract him so Riggs can shoot him. He blows up and he flies across to a giant gas station with a gas tanker that blows up. They run away. 9 months later, they've got a shark in a boat. And that's just how this movie starts. And it's more of the same, I think, kind of throughout.
That cut to 9 months later, 3 minutes into the movie, fucking threw me against a wall. It knocked me out. I felt concussed after that. That was insane. And I realized
just yesterday on the La La Land episode, you were talking about how emotional a time jump usually makes you. Did you not feel the same way here?
You got to earn a time jump. You can't do it in the first 90 seconds of a movie. This is crazy.
This is 6 hours into a movie, baby. This is the 4th one. Fourth one.
We were 90 seconds in, and it did feel like 6 hours. I agree with you there.
I thought their chat I thought the whole opening scene with the fire thing was so good, and my favorite parts of their relationship when they're arguing over the semantics of stuff, and they both have secrets they're supposed to keep from each other, but they can't hold them in. You know, like in the first movie, which I think is the best one, it's way more serious, and it is them at complete odds, where Riggs is the renegade and Roger's just trying to make it to retirement. And in this one, they have evolved into family. They are just best friends. And as someone who's just a fan of those characters, I really love it. And I like that they're still fucking with each other in the most extreme circumstances. And I like that they have these moments where they're like, it's wordplay, and then they both have confessions about pregnancies that are happening, and they both know about it. Like, their families are so ingrained. They're just it's very satisfying to me to see two people who clearly care so much about each other, whose lives are so intertwined, just like doing it one more time. It seems like this whole thing is fan service, and as a fan, I felt serviced.
I'm right there with you, man. I had a blast with this. The amount of pyrotechnics in this movie made me wonder if this was Richard Donner's last movie. I just pulled up IMDb. It looks like there were a couple. He did 2 after this, and then a director's cut of Superman 2. But like, this had real finale energy to it.
It did.
Did you guys feel like Jet Li was a formidable villain?
Yeah. You don't?
Yeah. No,
he murdered
not really.
like 8 people. He kicked their asses 3 times. He burned down his house. He threatened to murder his pregnant wife.
Also, does Murdo's house get burned down in every movie or explode in every movie?
It gets destroyed in every movie. His car gets destroyed, and the house gets destroyed every single movie.
They didn't even talk about it this movie. Like after the house was burning down, they didn't even talk about it. And I was like, if that's a choice, it's the funniest thing in the world because it happens so many times. It's not even worth noting. The house is always blowing up.
It's always getting wrecked. It's getting rebuilt.
Or terrible insurance.
I like that they get promoted for some reason. That doesn't make any sense either. They're like, well, we don't have insurance. So you skipped sergeant. You're both captains now. And then they get demoted at the end of the movie. But it's like some loophole. But then they just go back to doing what they were doing. They're blowing stuff up. There's no consequences. I think they just wanted something to do with the chief because they wanted him in the photo at the end because they have this core group of characters. I listened to our last pod, Kevin, you said this was the longest an action movie family has stayed together. It's all the same actors. Any movie
with the
family.
Exception now, I guess, of Boyhood, but like across the series of movies.
Any good movie that has existed has the same core group of actors, and it's really I just find it's nice to see the same people. It's crazy that it's the same wife, you know. It's crazy that it's the same kids. It's so weird, but it's wonderful, you know.
I do kind of love that they also like same writers on every movie, same director for every movie. Like that doesn't happen anymore. Like that whole crew stuck together for what was it? Like 15 years?
No, like 9. I think it's from
was it 9?
Or no, is it 11?
It's 10 years.
87 to 98.
Well, no, it's
87 and 97?
87 to 98, so it's 11 years.
11.
Yeah.
It was like, it felt like the last movie of its kind at that time. Like, I think later that year we get Rush Hour, and then the year after that, Matrix is coming. Like, it does feel like the end of the buddy cop era happens in that movie, and you can kind of feel them trying to do the next thing. Like, we don't really have like that kind of those combat style fights in the earlier movies, but in this one we did. You can feel them like trying to move on to the next generation, and then it happens shortly. Like they were keen to what was going on, but they just didn't like push it far enough, I thought.
I think that in the first movie it's all about Mel Gibson kicking ass, and he is this weapon and he's this monster and he's helping Roger out and he's going above and beyond. He's like chasing people down on foot. He's catching guys. He's sniping people from a mile away. He's suicidal. He's crazy.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the movie, he kind of just overcomes this by finding out that his partner is pregnant. And all of a sudden he comes up with a plan that isn't just me poking my head out and killing this guy. Like after that, he is a little more risk averse, even though he still takes a ton of risks. And I love the coming full circle of him saying, I might be getting too old for this. It's crazy.
Dude. I mean,
it's beautiful, I think. And we've talked about, I think, with very warily talking about like actors' ages and stuff and whether or not it fits in, because like you don't want to like discriminate against anybody. Like I want everyone to work as long as they can. But there is something really cool about letting a character age with the actor. And he's 31 in the first movie. He's 42 in the next movie. It's 6 years in between Lethal Weapon 3 and the fourth one. Those are the long 6 years. Mel looks very different in this movie. He looks like a different character. It feels like he's aged a lot. They've all kind of aged a lot. And for him to suddenly not be in the first movie, he kicks Jet Li's ass. In this movie, him and Roger have to do it together, and it's brutal. Like this, I thought the last fight is so good. Like the two of them teaming up, the two of them realizing that they can't walk away, like psyching each other up. The I cool. Hear you, Riggs, and he dives in the water. I thought that was like a really good evolution of a relationship that started with Roger supporting Mel Gibson as he fought a guy on the lawn of Roger's house to save Roger's family. You know, like somehow it's kind of the playing field has leveled. Roger just seems to kick ass more. Like now that he's gotten older, it's like, oh, he's like physically strong. He's like picking things up. He's like lifting weight. They're like demonstrating his value in this. He has the neck crack thing, which now they're like subverting because they've already established that when he cracks his neck, he can shoot anything. And so he cracks his neck, gently dodges a bullet, and it still hits his brother. There's just so many things that are like, I think we've talked about some movies recently. I think it was Beetlejuice, where I think our takeaway was like, you're not rewarded for paying attention. The more you care about this, you're let down. There's no rewards for caring about this. And I think that this movie successfully cashes in on chips that you gained watching the other three. And I think that's probably my favorite part of this is it's like, oh, you're rewarded for caring about these characters. You're rewarded for investing in this. You know, even Joe Pesci, who's incredible.
I was just going to say.
Reference the Froggy thing. My God, that monologue gets me every time. And it's so dumb and it's so stupid and it's beautiful. You know, I'm not tearing up during La La Land, but when he's talking about Froggy at the grave of Martin's wife, it's incredible. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, that part shocked me. It felt like a crazy thing for him to say in that moment, but I liked it. I did really like it. I thought that was really nice and, well, not tonally the same as the rest of the movie. Very like just nice, and there was a lot of nice man moments, a lot of nice friendship moments. Yeah, I did like that part. I thought, what did you guys think of Chris Rock's character and how he was integrated into the movie?
I think integrated is a strong word.
Well, I mean, I think he, as soon as I figured out why he was behaving the way that he was, I loved it. The fact that he's sucking up because he's secret son-in-law, very fun. Although I will say the blanket thing in his introductory scene is just hysterical. It's just really funny. And screaming like, "Where's the blanket?"
People dying, man. We don't have enough bodies here. We're importing victims. It's like, it's just Chris Rock doing bits. They fuck you with the drive-in. They fuck you with these cell phones. I don't know anyone in Afghanistan. And if I did, I wouldn't talk to him for 2 hours. I don't talk to my own daddy for 2 hours. It's like, this is just Chris Rock doing stand-up with Joe Pesci.
That was my thing. As soon as they let him just cook as Chris Rock, like the scene where he is giving Leo Getz shit in between the two cars, it's like, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my badge. Here's my gun.
When he does a little two-hander with Leo inside the police station where they're talking about cell phones, I was like, this is insane. What's happening here? They just stopped to do a two-hander 1930s comedy bit. It was crazy. It was literally about rotary phones.
It was Abbott and Costello.
That's one of those things that's amazing.
It was Abbott and Costello. It was wild.
This franchise is right up there with Scream for me now, where like, I don't think there's a truly bad movie in it. Like the franchise itself is so fun, and it's so fun to watch the arcs of the characters over the movies. But one thing that this does that Scream doesn't do is every single time they introduce a new character, and every single time the character they introduce is a banger. We get the first one, then we get Leo Getz, then we get Rene Russo, and now we get Chris Rock. Like, by the fact that it is like, by the end of it, you have this whole family together and everyone is there. It's so cool to see them all together, and it's so much fun to see the way they interact.
What did you guys think of Rene Russo kind of getting a little sidelined in this one? Not like, I felt like it was a very different character than what we saw in the other ones.
I thought they saw when she was about to give birth, that's when it felt the most like her from Lethal Weapon 3 to me. she was definitely sidelined, but I like that they at least gave her one action scene when she's like 8 months pregnant. Like the pregnant action scene, I wrote down an idea for the next action draft that I wanted to cast her as the protagonist and call whatever movie comes out of it Beating for Two. Because it's like there is untapped potential in pregnant
Shooting for Two,
kicking ass. Oh, I was saying Shooting for Two is great. I was thinking Beating for Two.
I love her in this, and I love that she gets the action scenes. It's cool that there are two pregnant women in this house. One of them is a detective, and the detective is like kicking ass. She is fighting along with all the guys, and she's beating their butts. She has a knife to her throat, and Mel Gibson, I keep just saying Mel Gibson, but Martin Riggs is so confident in her abilities. In the last movie, he was so turned on watching her fight. Again, this is what love looks like. He is so confident in her that he's like, "Are you going to take that, honey?" And just knows she's going to be okay. That's so cool. And the beginning of their relationship, they are so similar in so many ways. And the scenes where it's just him at his house with her and they're getting cereal and she's lecturing him about what to feed the dog and then tossing him a treat. And, you know, they're talking about this sappy romance novel that it turns out Roger's wife wrote. All the moments where it's just the two of them hanging out, I love when they show up at the Roger's house and Mel is asking about Chinese food and Renee doesn't know what he's talking about, or Lorna doesn't know what he's talking about, but she knows he's doing a bit. So she is instantly involved. And then when there is food, she just goes in and starts eating with this family. They have similar energy, and it's nice to see them just kind of vibe together in this. I feel like the chemistry between the main people in this is just, it's off the charts. It seems like they all really like each other, and, you know, they're all just pals. I mean, I think that's crazy. I think that's really what carries the movie, you know, is that somehow the lead's wife, the lead's pregnant wife is still like a flushed out character that is interesting to watch and really flushes out the people she interacts with. I mean, I don't know. I'm into it, but I'm way too. I've also seen this movie a million times, so it's my La La Land. I do.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love these moments too in the movie that you were referencing where it's like, there's like heart to heart, like man talks. And he has a talk with Lorna where she is after the house burned down and she's just got this basically orphaned boy Ping with her. And they're in the car and he's locking eyes with her and he's like, "You want to get married?" And she's like, "I'll take you any way I can get you, Riggs," which is so beautiful. And that's like 15 seconds. And then they are immediately rammed in front of a train. They have to hit the brakes. She shoots somebody. There's a fireball. It's so fun to me that they are able to go like dramatic and insane in a second. And they just swing back and forth the whole time. And I'm into
that. I felt that like from the very beginning to where I was watching it and I was like, whoa, like kind of too quick of a tone shift here for this one. And then it happens again and again. And you're like, oh no, they're trying something here. They're like, not letting it, they're not letting things settle before something shifts in a big way. And it can it goes from these kind of like very 90s sappy moments to a big action thing in a split second. It happens so fast. I don't know if it totally works, but I love when somebody's trying something like that and trying to just like shift tone and like do something new, especially on the fourth movie, all the same people. It's like nice that they tried something there. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, even like they do a little bit of that. There's the whiplash in that scene where Hong gets killed, which by the way, tore my heart out. Like, I absolutely did not see that coming. That was way more ruthless than I thought they were going to get. Finally sees his beloved uncle again, and then immediately brutally murdered by Jet Li.
And an awkward murder too. Kind of. I was like, did he break his neck? What did he do there? It was like he just kind of rubbed his chin and he died.
I think it was kind of like it was just shy of a MacGruber throat rip. Something got disconnected. It was bad. Whatever happened was bad, which is why it hurt so much. And then, God, Murtaugh takes the sheet off him and his eyes are wide open. Nobody bothered to shut those.
Yeah.
just devastating. But in that one
I was
scene,
going to shut those. Damn, I didn't think you'd look so early. I was just about to shut those. Sorry about that. Sorry, I'll do it now. Actually, I'll be back in a minute. Those are going to be closed really quick. In a second. Give me a minute. Just got to take care of this other body really quick. A lot of broken necks in this place. A lot of broken necks.
Get the kid out.
Oh, the kid's here. Jesus.
It's funny the kid to show up.
He's just walking in by himself.
What a crime
left him in the car. It's crazy. Makes no sense, dude. It's so funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, him with the family is good. I like the third one seems a little more cut and dry, but the other movies have somehow all been very political, right? The first one defeats racism. The second one ends apartheid. The third one he gets with Rene Russo, which is nice. They find love again. And then in this one, they are really like addressing this like immigrant thing, and they are clearly making the argument that we should be helping people that need help that are coming to us. And you know, whether you agree with it or not, I appreciate that that's what the franchise is doing, that they're taking stances on stuff. It seems like a weird staple of the franchise to be actively voicing protest to like social situations while it's happening. It's kind of happening in the background of all the movies.
Yeah, it is a little confusing to see it taking such like a white knight social stance on immigration while also being so casually racist. Just
that was one of my beefs. Yeah,
that's how they get away with it.
It is so fucked to have Danny Glover have that point of view at the beginning of the movie. I'm sorry, Murtaugh have that point of view at the beginning of the movie, and then makes a fried rice joke like 30 seconds later with 8 or 9 Chinese people staying in his home because he's so compassionate. Then makes that fried rice joke to a Chinese guy. Just fucking crazy.
I just thought about every single other actor in that scene being like, it's a paycheck. I need the paycheck. Like, just how fucking uncomfortable it had to be to film all that.
That had to suck.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is tough. And
you know what my favorite scene in this whole movie was?
What?
Laughing gas scene.
It's great. It's a
laughing gas scene is so good. And for that to be the way everything comes out, it's like it doesn't waste a whole bunch of time with like, I hate the scene in a movie where it's like, I have to tell you the secret now. That was so quick, got all the info out, and they're still high while they're processing it. It was like perfect. We can move on from this shit.
And they don't even know what it means yet. They've still got to just figure it out. They still like accidentally stumble upon it with some, Deus Ex Machina working in their department. And it all like comes together, but it's like, it's great. That's also where they reveal that Butters is his son-in-law.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Which is like, so great. That's a great one because it's of all the times that it could have come up earlier in the movie. I love that they play with it and Riggs is just enjoying the hell out of it. And he could so easily clarify what's going on. But instead of giving us, the audience, that thing of like, why wouldn't they just say it? They play with it as a bit. And it's like, oh, because Riggs is enjoying fucking with him.
Yeah. It's great.
It's so good.
Can I rapid fire just run through some of my favorite tiny moments in this?
Please.
That are I just feel like great choices. I think like everything is a great choice. I love that Lorna tosses Riggs a dog treat. That's so good. I love that they have this whole thing about his wife. And then the second they meet this immigrant family, they're like, this guy speaks English. And the first thing he asks is this your wife? And they all say no. And they all say it with like different tones. It's great. It just seems like this is all the kind of stuff that like looks okay on the page, and then they're all friends, so it all just works. When they get called into the chief's office where they get this absurd promotion that doesn't make any sense, the chief is like looking out into the bullpen and Riggs is standing right next to him, and then the chief tries to turn around, but Riggs is there and he's like, will you sit down, get the fuck out of my way. And Riggs has like already pissed him off. Like the second they're in the office, Riggs has found a way to piss him off. So good. They have they handcuff a guy that they're chasing, who it turns out is just a waiter, and he is helping them move the dumpster to catch.
Yeah. I rewound it to see that part again. I was like, is that the guy with the cuffs on helping them? Yeah. It's
incredible. And if he's just a guy, it makes sense in hindsight.
It makes sense. That's why I stopped, because I was like, this is such a piece of shit movie that they're having the criminal help with the garbage. And then you watch it actually play out and you're like, oh, brilliant.
He's just a normal good dude. Danny Glover, Roger, and Hong have a toast, and Hong says bread instead of toast. That's such a good joke. That's such a good joke. When they're in the locker room talking about hanging up, how they're too old for this, after Riggs gets his ass beat in the boxing thing, in the background is the single most jacked human being I've ever seen in my life. There is a dude who is clearly roided out, half naked, just standing behind them while they're talking about how they don't have it anymore and they're past their prime. Like, they had to find this guy. They went out of their way to find the most jacked human being they could to put in this scene, just for contrast. It's incredible.
Quick note on that. Forgot to mention this in La La Land. When Mia is watching Ryan Gosling on stage in La La Land, the camera's pushing in on her while he's playing the song and she's about to go on her daydream. I was really distracted. There's a woman in the foreground on the right-hand side of the screen who is also fucking jacked. She's got like veins visible on her arm. She's just very muscular. And it's like, God damn, she's like very fit.
Extra too jacked? That'd be a killer Tumblr.
Extra too jacked.
Just extras who just are so distracting with how attractive they are. Oh. It's too much. Last ones. When they're talking to Joe Pesci and he's describing to them how he is just, committing a felony by replacing this woman's dog with another dog and saying it's the right dog. And he goes, it's a felony. You guys are always kidding me. And he just brushes it off completely. Like they're always joshing him about this stuff. Just great. There's a moment where they talk about the body that Jet Li killed on the roof. And someone says pigeons ate his eyeballs. And Riggs goes, cool. Like, dang, that's
the
awesome.
guy that helped with the garbage can. That's the same guy.
No, it's not the guy who helped with the garbage can. It's the other one that got away.
Mm-hmm.
The one they was meant to chase.
Oh, yes. Pigeons ate his eyes. Okay, I got confused there.
Yes, and then they have a talk before the final fight scene where they reveal that he's been getting his money because his wife writes these trashy books, and Riggs is making the joke, are you boinking this woman? And he's like, no, I'm not boinking her. And then it's like, it's Trish. He's like, so you are boinking her? And he's like, yeah, I am boinking her.
I am boinking her. Yeah.
Insane chemistry moment. And I did also notice this time that during the gunfight, people run out of bullets and they start running around like it's a video game to find more bullets. I'm like, what do you mean? You came to this with like one clip? What is wrong with you? Roger, they're like, how many you got? He's like, 6 bullets. It's like, Roger, you showed up with 6 bullets to this ill-advised intervention where you interrupted like a gang meeting to tell one of them that they were ripping off the other.
He came there to just start shit. He just came there to just start shit. He wasn't arresting anybody. He was just like, yo, he fucked you over. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. I would fucking hit him if I was you, dude. I'd fucking hit him. That's basically what he did.
Yeah, it's probably the right legal thing to do. They just go in there, throw a stone, and then they walk away.
That is kind of what cops do in a much darker way.
Yes, that is true. Cops are bad, but these ones are fun.
That whole... Yeah. The scene at the end was absolutely insane. The fact that they confronted all these guys. It was wild to me that it took so long for them to just open fire. You wouldn't even wait for them to ask questions. You would just light them up. There's 4 triad guys there. Like, what are you doing? They're just all lined up in a row. They're still wearing prison jumpsuits, which is crazy. Nobody's like, I don't know, let them wear normal clothes. It reminds me of there's just a thing. This is gonna get us labeled on like Spotify or something. I was at a party a couple weeks ago. Somebody brought up like the whole like Wayfair human trafficking conspiracy from a few years ago. And they were like, yeah, there's people and there's like the names of missing people with prices. And it's like, my brother in Christ, you think if this website was selling people, they would be listed under their actual names? Like,
oh yeah, the furniture thing. Wow. Yeah, that's true.
Just it was goofy. But I want to pull a Tim. I want to list 3 things that I love. Number 1, like you mentioned, Danny Glover has been a highlight across all 4 of these. I love his sense of humor. I love the way that he plays off Mel Gibson, but like the way he delivers lines like I guess I am boing years. So unbelievably good. The moment where they're giving Leo shit when he's up in the truck and then they pull up next to him and another cop shows up. As soon as, and you know what? I wish one of them would be like, yeah, we don't know this guy at all. And they drive away doing exactly that. Amazing. The other one that I wanted to shout out was this is one specifically for you, Tim. There's a point where Joe Pesci uses the phrase telephone tough guy. And there's an episode of Colby's old radio show where you guest hosted and took calls and just absolutely antagonized every single person that called in for a straight hour. It's one of my favorite things I've ever heard. If you ever do that again, you got to use the name telephone tough guy. It's perfect for you.
Yeah, we got to save that. That's too good for the pod. Let's edit that out.
Use telephone tough.
The last one that you reminded me of with Joe Pesci at the very end, the whole end scene at the hospital. I love it. It's so nice and sweet and sappy. Joe Pesci, after delivering the Froggy monologue, which is brutal, follows Riggs to the room and he tries to go in there and Riggs like kicks him out. And then he like looks dejected and then Riggs comes out to give him a hug. And the way Joe Pesci receives that hug is one of the most brutal things I feel like I've ever seen. It's so tragic.
Yeah, that really stood out to me as like, Jesus Christ, like what's this guy's full story here? He kind of just pops in for comedic relief, but he's also painting dogs for a little bit of cash. Like, what's actually going on here?
He's crazy. His mom's not around. His dad's not great. And then when he gets a pat on the back from someone he considers family, he pats him on the back so awkwardly, like he's never gotten, like it's something he's seen people do, but he's never gotten to experience it himself. Oh my God. Like that's an incredible choice, you know? So good. That's so good. Breen, tell me 10 things you love about this movie. Or something you hate. What other beefs you got?
I really think we covered this pretty well. I can look. Oh, you know what I don't like is how much they tease the sexual chemistry between Riggs and Murdoch's oldest daughter. I mean, it's been going on since the first movie. And then in this one, they just kiss on the mouth as a hello. Like, what are we doing? Let's stop this. This is freaking me out.
Very weird. I forgot the name of Rene Russo when this movie started. And so when it first started, I thought Murtaugh was telling Riggs that his daughter was pregnant. And I was like, oh, wow. So in between 3 and 4, Riggs and Murtaugh's daughter finally got together. And then
that's what I thought pregnant too. Yeah.
I thought Riggs knocked up both of Murtaugh's daughters.
that should be 5. That should be the plot of 5. I'd watch that in a second.
Yeah, man, it's weird. Their relationship is very strange and seems very old-fashioned. That they are like flirty family members. It's a weird dynamic.
Another beef I've got is how in the middle of the ocean, a giant boat sneaks up on them in a split second. That is never the case in water. There is no giant boat that sneaks up on you and hits you. There's no corners to hide behind. You'll see it. I thought that was crazy. That was kind of a very 90s movie thing, though, where if it was like out of frame, out of mind, we're just going to hope that they believe that nobody else noticed it. Yeah, I can kind of forgive them, but when that boat just appears in frame, I was just shocked. Just blew me away that they didn't see it.
Leo pulled out a piece on the boat and was about to try to shoot a shark. Yeah. Like that's probably taken most of your attention.
There's so many insane things happen that the boat is like dismissible. There's a guy with pyro in the street that they blow up, and then Leo tries to shoot a shark in the face, and then this boat comes up. It's the third most interesting thing that happens in the beginning of this movie.
That was, it was, the pacing up top was crazy. It was so much info, so much action. And then we just cut to puppet shark in the water or in the boat, and Leo's with them. And then there's a boat, and we're stopping this boat. And I was like, why are they stopping the boat? What's going on? It just was a lot of info up top. That's okay.
Info might even be too strong a word. Like, I have no idea what's going on. They're just suddenly on this boat. They're jumping on this thing. In hindsight, you know what's going on, but their instinct is to get on board and start shooting people. They start shooting. Riggs has his gun out so fast. The second they see people on the boat, Riggs has his gun out and is ready to shoot. And they're just on a vacation. They're out fishing. Why is this so accessible to him immediately? Instantly, he has it out. And then there's moments too also, with that remind me of that with what?
They light the boat on fire, and then Leo's like, let's board them.
Yeah. It's so much. Crazy. And you're right.
And just murdering that guy before knowing what's going on is just insane. It's, yeah.
And you talked about the house burning down too, where it's like this just happens every time and they don't even acknowledge it. The family goes through a traumatic experience and the guys immediately leave and get in a car. And now all of a sudden they're chasing someone down the highway. It's great. They're just not wasting any time. They don't care if it's unreasonable. They're just cutting to the next fun thing.
Oh yeah. The way they were gone in a second and just not like you guys, your whole family was just tied up and left in a burning building for dead. And then they get outside and they're like, peace, see ya, gotta go.
Yeah.
It was wild.
But this is the fourth time their family's been almost dead, and they're used to it now. It's what they do.
And Butters is just like, call me girl. It was crazy. That is the mother of your child.
It's insane they're keeping it a secret. It's so crazy.
Why do you think Chris Rock was named Butters? This is post South Park existing too. I don't know if Butters was a character yet. But I did think like, wow, there were two characters named Butters at the same time.
That's interesting.
You got to imagine it's just parallel thinking.
It rolls off the tongue. They also get it wrong all the time, which I think is another Lethal Weapon. That's like exactly their kind of comedy, is just mispronouncing the same thing back and forth to each other.
Yeah, Danny Glover never says it right once. Yeah.
Until the very end when he gets shot, then he remembers his name. It's
awkward joke in the delivery room. Like, it better not be a Murtaugh baby. Like, gross.
Yeah, what does that
mean? I wouldn't be surprised though. Wouldn't be surprised. A lot of weird stuff going on in that family.
Yeah,
that bathtub scene opens up the first movie. I mean, man.
Yeah, they didn't do a bathtub scene, which is a bummer. That's the one thing I really missed from the series.
Yeah, it's probably why it's not working for me.
It's probably in a tub.
We'll get it put back in. We'll get a remaster at some point. They'll put a bathtub scene in there. I think this is, overall wrapping this up. I think this is a fitting end to the Lethal Weapon series. I think this is a fitting into this podcast series. I'm very satisfied.
Yeah, this is the last episode in Nerdy for 30, and I think we're going out on a high.
This is the last episode?
I don't know. Well, the last one on Lethal Weapon, probably, and then maybe we'll do
okay. I thought you meant like last episode ever. I was like, Jesus. I would have put a collared shirt on or something.
Kind of offended he didn't.
Well, I didn't know.
Well,
thanks for having me, guys.
I'd say we do better next time, but it won't be one.
Oh, God, never again.
And then we'll watch Lethal Weapon 5, also known as The Nice Guys.
Yeah, we need to come up with something else. Nice Guys loop. 3. We'll come up with another reason to hang out.
We didn't do Drive, is the thing. We never did Drive.
Ooh, we should do Drive.
Okay, what can we watch with Drive?
I mean, there's the Lethal Weapon TV series that Tim got banned from the Facebook page of.
That's true. A buddy of mine was on it too. I didn't know. He got on later, but I did get banned from their Facebook page. Every time they posted, I just commented like, we don't want this. And just disliked every post. It was like, why are you guys doing this? The movies were perfect. You don't need to do this. And then
I think after seeing all 4 of these, if Breen and I had Facebook still, we'd be right there with you, pal. Listener, what do you think? No, go for it. I'm an outro if you got a joke.
No. I got nothing. When sometimes you realize what you're about to say and you're like, I should never talk. Please, let's end the episode.
Oh, as Dane Cook said, those are the things you have to say out loud.
And we all know where Dane Cook is now.
Comedy icon, questionable dating history.
Brother in arms.
Plastic surgery enthusiast.
Dane Cook, our brother, friend of the pod.
Our brother, friend of the pod.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? What did you think of the Lethal Weapon franchise? What do you think of the Ryan Gosling movies? What do you think of Dane Cook? Let us know. Send us an email. We will read it on the pod. We'll be back here again. We will be back here again next year with Drive and the Dane Cook tour where he did the super finger bit. Until then, stay nerdy, everybody. Awesome. Breen, thank you so much for being here as always.
Stay nerdy.
I had the best time. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Breeny baby.
Man.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.